Well, Beijing's patience with Hong Kong's pro-democracy movement appears to have come to an end. The annual gathering of the National People's Congress, China's version of a parliament, will be presented with a sweeping national security law directly aimed at controlling political dissent, which has paralysed Hong Kong since last June, only relenting in recent months over public health concerns. The move is perhaps the most brazen example so far of Beijing's attempt to erode Hong Kong's autonomy under the one country, two systems framework. For more, CNN's Chrissy Lusau joins us now live from Hong Kong. Chrissy, specifically, what is in this law? How far does it go? How much control does it give the mainland over Hong Kong?
Well, make no mistake about it, Beijing is tightening its grip on Hong Kong. On Thursday, China's parliament introduced this new security legislation that would give the Chinese Communist Party more control over the special administrative region. And today, as the National People's Congress kicks off in Beijing, they are likely to rubber stamp this piece of legislation that would curb sedition, secession, foreign interference, as well as terrorism here in Hong Kong. How are Chinese government officials rationalizing the move? Well, we do have a statement from a spokesperson of the National People's Congress. We'll bring it up for you. This is according to Zhang Yesui, and he said this, quote, "In light of new circumstances and needs, the National People's Congress is exercising the power enshrined in the Constitution to establish and improve at the state level a legal framework and enforcement mechanism for safeguarding national security in Hong Kong as to uphold and improve institutional framework of one country, two systems. This is highly necessary," unquote. As expected, John, there is outrage here in Hong Kong. They see the move as fundamentally undermining one country, two systems. In fact, one opposition lawmaker said this represents the death of Hong Kong. Here's Dennis Kwok.
I just want to say to the international community that this is the end of Hong Kong. This is the end of one country, two systems. Make no mistake about it, that Beijing, the Central People's Government, has completely breached its promise to the Hong Kong people, a promise that was enshrined in the Sino-British Joint Declaration and the Basic Law.
There is and has been a lot of anger here in Hong Kong directed at Beijing and directed at the Hong Kong government, which many people here see as agents of Beijing. Anger after the arrest of hundreds of people participating in unauthorized protests during the pandemic, flash mob sing-alongs at shopping centers. Anger after the arrest of 15 high-profile pro-democracy leaders last month, including the 81-year-old founder of the Democratic Party, Martin Lee. And anger over the controversial national anthem legislation, which is due up for debate in the Legislative Council next week. And if passed, it could make it a crime punishable with jail time to mock China's national anthem. All of this, plus the new security legislation, again, likely to be rubber stamped by the National People's Congress, setting the stage for an explosive new protest season here in Hong Kong. John.
Okay, specifically, though, what does this new law mean for everyday life for people living in Hong Kong? How will their lives be changed? I mean, will this law be implemented by Hong Kong security forces, by the local legislature there? I mean, they'll be bypassed in the entire process, it seems. So what does it mean if you live in Hong Kong? What changes once this law takes effect?
John, this is what everyone here in Hong Kong has been discussing this day and trying to get our heads around this. We know, in general, abstract terms, it means the end of Hong Kong, one country, two systems. 2047, which was the date Hong Kong was intended to be handed over to Beijing, is and will be already here when this legislation passes. But in concrete terms, what is it going to mean for businesses? What is it going to mean for journalists? What is it going to mean for dissidents, activists, for educators, or for the 7 million plus people who call Hong Kong home, who use Google, who use YouTube? What does it mean for their lives and our lives? That remains an open question until after this legislation is rubber stamped, it's passed, and comes into fruition. John.